Hey there YouTube. Today I'm doing a video review of this Glacier Bay utility sink with faucet. I got it from Home Depot for $200 even, plus tax. It is item number 100467561. So this isn't an unboxing video, but I will say that the way that they shipped this is really bad. We actually bought one and got it home, and it looked fine when we cracked the box. But when we fully unboxed it at home, there was a hairline crack right here on the side that's exposed, so we had to take that one back. We actually took that one back 8 months after we bought it because we fully redid our laundry room here, and you know, projects with a newborn take time. And the people at Home Depot were really cool, and they let us exchange it. We didn't even have the original receipt, and they let us exchange it. So they did like a receiptless return and then gave us the store credit. We bought it with store credit. Just amazing, Home Depot. I've had pretty good luck with all the 3 major big box retailers, Lowe's, Home Depot, Menards, with returns. But anyway, back to this. As for the faucet, one thing that drives me insane, normally when you install a faucet, the hot is left, the cold is right. On this unit, even if you hook up the water lines as they say, hot is right, cold is left. And unfortunately there is no indicator on the faucet which way is hot and which way is cold. Seems like they could have used a little tape or something, a little red tape, a little blue tape. So that's kind of annoying. As for the actual pull out, this works really good. I do love having an extendable faucet here. It sprays like so, and it does, as you can see, retract. It does come with a stopper. The stainless steel sink itself is pretty good. I haven't noticed any rust, but we've only had it installed about a month now. So ask me in the comments if it's rusted at that time, and I will respond. So the utility cabinet gets much use as we store stuff in here. One thing I wanted to note, this is made out of MDF. This is not real wood. And after we got our second one home, because the first one was defective, unboxed it and then opened the door for the first time, and the hinge ripped right out of the particle board. So I actually tried to fix it with some construction adhesive and just hold the screws in. That didn't work. So what I ended up doing was using wood glue, lots and lots of wood glue, and then re-drilling 2 new long screws right through the side of the unit, and then hacking them off with an angle grinder. They do sell kits to repair this problem. I know that. They're $10, but I wasn't waiting another day to get this installed. Boy, it is a mess under here. Let me clean this up for you. Alright, here's the underside of the cabinet. Plenty of room for your rough in. There's no issue with that. As you can see, I do have the one that says this is hot hooked up to the hot. And that rating on here is just me telling the next owner where not to shoot screws, because I do have plumbing coming up through the wall. They do give you a little pen for touching up the paint if you scratch it, so that's pretty nice. This is not the most stain resistant finish that I've seen. Actually, from touching this, it does have some gunk already. So it's like a matte finish. It's not very satiny, but I love the stainless steel hardware that comes on it. Also, during shipping, this bottom base was cracked into two L's. It's a square that goes under, but it was cracked in two, so I also had to wood glue this base. There was a lot of quality issues right off the bat. One thing I noticed, the original one that we returned did not have these plastic angles on it, and the new one did, so that's probably how they rectified the problem of the wood splitting. Let's get some measurements for you guys. Actual usable space in here is about 23 inches across. It's about 19 inches deep because of the doors. And the sink comes down, so you'll have about you'll have about 21 inches of usable height under here, you know, minus your drain and such. And also, these are slow closed doors. So one issue I've had with this sink that I never have had with any other sink, I guess I've only installed 3 of them, but this one has a very coarse thread here, and it's not well machined, and it has a metal tailpiece cap, and this actually kept leaking right here at the threads for this tailpiece. And I originally thought it was leaking from the gasket, but it wasn't. It was actually leaking from the threads of the tailpiece. So after reading on the forums, I used some pipe dope on the threads, not plumber's putty, but pipe dope, and screwed that back on, and it hasn't leaked since. So there's a little tip if you're having the same problem. One thing I really like about this sink is that you don't have to use any plumber's putty because they give you a gasket for the bottom, and you don't have to use the stupid plumber's putty. So very clean up here. So yeah, that's all I can think of for this sink review. If you have any questions, go ahead and post them in the comments and I will respond. Thanks for watching. Alright, assembly's super simple. Put a towel on the ground. Flip this sucker over carefully so you don't crack it. Put the screws labeled AA into these things. There's holes, so it's really easy. You don't even need to tap a hole. And make sure you use a manual screwdriver on this because I swear this thing is made out of balsa wood. If you strip out this, you're going to have a bad time. So I'm pretty impressed with this sink. Well, at least the drain kit. It actually has a rubber gasket instead of using plumber's putty and a foam gasket. I hate plumber's putty, so this is cool. They include the foam gasket. So you get the strainer. They call it a sponge washer. Actually, it's a foam gasket. Put that up in there. There we go. Try to get it centered. Okay, what's next? You get your rubber washer and your paper washer. There we go. I think the paper is just, yeah, so you don't tear up the spun or the rubber. And put on your lock nut. Okay, get that centered. And hand tighten. And we'll see if it leaks. Actually unscrewing the drain, it's easier than screwing down the clamp. There we go. Or the insert the screen into the strainer.
Done. Look at that. Not too shabby. This hardware alone would probably cost $10 a handle. So when they were painting this door at the factory, they kind of sealed the hole up that the screw goes into. So I'm afraid if I just hit the screw from the other side, it would blow and chip this out. So I'm going to screw from this side to get it started. There we go. Okay, so the instructions have you putting the sink on after you mount this to the wall. I know that the floor of my laundry room is sloped down and I want this to be level. So I want the entire thing to be level, so the kitchen floor is actually level. So I'm going to put the sink top on a level surface. Okay, so I just set the sink down for a test fit, and there is a dent on the front of the sink. So I'm going to try to dent that out a little bit. Ah, there we go. A little tack hammer action, good as new. Normally I would use silicone to adhere a sink to a base, but they specifically say to use a hard setting adhesive, such as one for joining wood to metal. So I'm going to use some liquid nails. But if you ever think you might replace this sink, use silicone, because once liquid nails sets on this, that sink is going to become a permanent part of this vanity. And that's probably because it needs the structural rigidity of the sink, because it's like made out of particle board. So you don't need a lot of liquid nails. This stuff is crazy strong. Alright, got a nice flat floor here. Just a little bit of weight on there, so it'll sit nice and perfectly flat. Make sure you clean up any construction adhesive that happens to get on the sink. And one thing I wanted to note, the back does overhang a little bit, like just a little bit. So if you were to screw this flat to the wall and then try to put this sink on, you would have a bad time, because the back where you're supposed to screw this to the wall would be pulled towards the drywall, and you would not be able to get this sink top on. And just to help you guys out with the rough in measurements, it is actually 24 inches wide. The walls are 5/8 inch thick. The opening starts at 10 3/4 inch. The opening is 18.5 inches tall. And the entire height of it with the sink installed is 35 inches. So the actual depth of the sink is 21 3/8. The depth of the cabinet itself is 21 1/8.